If you had told me a year ago that I would be standing on my own front lawn, watching police officers escort my mother-in-law out of my house in handcuffs while a locksmith packed up his tools, I would have told you to write a fiction novel. But postpartum sleep deprivation, a mother's instinct, and a woman who refuses to respect boundaries will create a perfect storm that alters the course of your life forever. I am 27 years old, and 3 months ago, I gave birth to my absolute world. My son, Leo. He is everything to me and my husband, Mark. For the first few months, life was a blur of dirty diapers, midnight feedings, and that unique kind of exhaustion that seeps into your very bones. But it was a beautiful exhaustion. I was exclusively pumping, which, if you know anything about it, is practically a full-time job on its own. Every drop of breast milk in our freezer was hard-won. I spent hours hooked up to a machine, sacrificing sleep and comfort to ensure Leo had exactly what my pediatrician recommended. Enter Brenda. Brenda is Mark's mother, and from the moment I met her 5 years ago, she has made it her life's mission to let me know I am doing everything wrong. Our wedding was too modern. My career was too demanding. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the level of vitriol she brought into our lives when I got pregnant. According to Brenda, modern parenting is a scam invented by fragile millennials. Car seats with expiration dates, a conspiracy by the government to make you spend money, sleep sacks, ridiculous straitjackets. But her biggest grievance was my feeding journey. In my day, she would say, sipping her coffee while I wrestled with my breast pump in the living room, we gave them a bottle of evaporated milk and Caro syrup. They slept through the night at 2 weeks old. You're spoiling him, Clara, and you're starving him with that watery milk. He needs a little rice cereal in his bottle to weigh his stomach down. Brenda, he is literally 4 weeks old, I had replied, gritting my teeth. His digestive tract can't handle solid food. The pediatrician said strictly breast milk or formula until at least 6 months. She had just rolled her eyes, muttering something about doctors not knowing anything about raising real men. Mark, bless his heart, tried to run interference. He would tell her to back off, but Brenda had a way of weaponizing her tears, playing the victim, and making Mark feel guilty for disrespecting his mother. To keep the peace, we limited her visits, but she still had a spare key from when she used to water our plants during our honeymoon. I completely forgot she had it. That was my first and almost fatal mistake, the return to work and the creeping paranoia. My maternity leave ended when Leo was 12 weeks old. It shattered my heart to go back to my office job, but we needed my income. We hired a wonderful, highly recommended nanny named Emily. She was a 22-year-old nursing student, gentle, attentive, and fully on board with all my rules. For the first 2 weeks, everything seemed fine. Emily sent me updates and pictures, and I would rush home at 5 p.m. to bury my face in Leo's soft neck. But right around the beginning of week 3, a creeping, unsettling paranoia began to take root in my mind. It started small, microscopic almost. I am a creature of extreme habit, especially when it comes to the nursery. Before I left for work every morning, I made sure Leo's room was pristine. I had a specific way I draped the knitted blanket over the back of the rocking chair. I kept the diaper caddy organized perfectly. Wipes on the left, diapers in the middle, diaper cream on the right. One Tuesday, I came home, relieved Emily, and went upstairs to put Leo down for a nap. The knitted blanket wasn't draped over the back of the chair. It was folded in a neat, tight square on the seat. The diaper caddy was rearranged. The cream was on the left. I asked Emily about it the next morning. "Hey Em, did you reorganize the diaper caddy yesterday?" Emily looked genuinely confused. "No, Mrs. Clara. I haven't touched the caddy at all actually. I used the backup supplies downstairs in the living room all day yesterday. I brushed it off. Sleep deprivation, I told myself. I must have done it in a midnight haze and completely forgotten. But then, it kept happening. The angle of the crib mattress seemed slightly shifted. The blinds, which I always kept tilted up to block the direct sun, were tilted down. A pacifier that I distinctly remembered leaving on the dresser was suddenly sitting in the bathroom sink. I started feeling like I was losing my mind. Was postpartum psychosis a thing that could hit at 3 months? I spent hours at my desk staring blankly at my spreadsheets, my heart racing, wondering if I was hallucinating. I didn't want to tell Mark. He was already stressed at work, and I didn't want him to think his wife was cracking under the pressure. Then came the milk. I had a rigorous rotation system for my frozen breast milk. I knew exactly how many bags I had. I logged them in an app. On a Thursday night, I went down to the deep freezer to pull out bags for the next day. I counted them. I counted them again. 6 bags were missing. That was over 30 ounces of liquid gold. Panic flared in my chest. Did Emily drop them? Did she spill them and feel too guilty to tell me? I texted her immediately, trying to keep my tone light. Hey Emily, quick question, did we have any milk accidents today? I seem to be short a few bags. Totally fine if so, just trying to keep track of my stash. Her reply came back 3 minutes later. Hi Clara, no accidents at all. Leo only ate the 3 bottles you left in the fridge. I didn't even open the deep freezer. A cold sweat broke out across my forehead. If Emily didn't take it, and I didn't take it, where did it go? I walked back upstairs, my mind racing. When I walked past the kitchen trash can, I smelled something distinct. It was a sweet, slightly sour scent. I opened the lid and dug through the coffee grounds and paper towels. Buried at the very bottom were 6 empty breast milk storage bags. They had been slashed open with scissors. My heart hammered against my ribs like a trapped bird. Someone had been in my house. Someone had intentionally destroyed the milk I had pumped for my child. The paranoia vanished, instantly replaced by a primal, terrifying realization. Someone was violating my sanctuary. The camera and the discovery. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind running through every possible scenario. Could it be a neighbor, a crazed ex, but the folded blanket, the reorganized caddy? That wasn't the work of a random intruder. That was someone making themselves at home. The next day on my lunch break, I drove to an electronics store. I bought the most high-tech, inconspicuous nanny cam I could find. It was designed to look like a standard phone charger block. You plug it into an outlet, and the tiny pinhole camera records 1080p video with crystal clear audio, sending motion alerts directly to an app on my phone. When I got home, I waited until Mark was in the shower and Emily had left. I plugged the charger into the outlet directly across from Leo's crib, giving it a perfect, wide-angle view of the entire nursery. I tested it on my phone. The picture was pristine, I could see everything. Monday morning arrived. I kissed Mark goodbye, hugged Emily when she arrived, kissed my beautiful boy, and drove to work. My stomach was a knot of anxiety. Every time my phone buzzed with an email, I jumped. At 11:15 a.m., I was in a quarterly budget review meeting with my team. My phone was resting face up on the mahogany conference table. It lit up. Motion detected. Nursery camera. I abruptly stood up, pushing my chair back with a loud screech. I am so sorry, I stammered to my boss. I have a family emergency. I need to take this. I practically ran out of the conference room and locked myself in a single-stall restroom down the hall. My hands were shaking so violently I could barely unlock my phone. I opened the app. The live feed buffered for 2 agonizing seconds, and then the image snapped into sharp focus. The breath was knocked out of my lungs. Standing in the middle of my son's nursery was Brenda. She was wearing her floral gardening blouse, humming a tune as she leaned over the crib. Emily was nowhere in sight. I would later find out from Emily that Brenda had showed up, claimed I had asked her to come give Emily a 3-hour paid break, and practically shoved the poor girl out the door. I watched in frozen horror as Brenda scooped my tiny, 3-month-old baby out of his crib. She carried him over to the rocking chair and sat down. My heart was pounding in my ears. What is she doing? How did she get in? Then, she reached into a tote bag beside the chair. She pulled out a small Tupperware container and a baby spoon. My blood ran ice cold. All right, my handsome boy, Brenda cooed, her voice echoing through the tiny speaker on my phone. Grandma is going to give you some real food. Your mommy is starving you with that liquid garbage. Let's get some meat on those bones. I zoomed in on the feed. The Tupperware container was filled with a thick, gluey, brownish paste. It looked like heavily mashed potatoes mixed with gravy and thick rice cereal. No. Leo was 3 months old. He didn't even have the tongue-thrust reflex necessary to swallow solids safely. His digestive system was completely immature. Feeding him that thick paste wasn't just old-fashioned, it was a severe choking hazard. It could cause bowel obstructions. It could kill him. I watched, paralyzed with terror, as she scooped a heaping spoonful of the paste and forced it toward Leo's mouth. He grimaced, turning his head away, crying. "Oh, stop your fussing," Brenda scolded, holding his little chin firmly in place. She practically shoved the spoon into his mouth. Leo began to gag. His tiny face turned red. He was sputtering, struggling to clear the thick, heavy sludge from his throat. I couldn't breathe. My vision tunneled. Brenda casually patted his back. "There you go, swallow it down. Real food. Now, let's go get rid of that nasty frozen milk so your mother is forced to give you formula." She stood up, leaving my baby coughing and sputtering in the crib, and walked out of the frame toward the kitchen. The master plan, cold, calculating rage. Most people would have called their husband. Most people would have called the mother-in-law, screaming at her through the phone. But I didn't feel hysterical. I didn't feel the urge to scream. The moment I saw my son gagging on food he wasn't supposed to eat, the moment I heard her gleefully announce she was going to destroy the milk I had literally bled to pump, something inside me snapped. A cold, absolute and terrifyingly calm rage washed over me. Brenda hadn't just overstepped. She had endangered my infant. She had broken into my home. She had maliciously destroyed my property. I didn't call Mark. He was an hour away at a job site and wouldn't get there in time. I opened Google and searched for an emergency mobile locksmith. I found one 3 miles from my house. I called him. "Hi," I said, my voice shockingly steady. "I need an emergency lock change at my residence immediately. It's a domestic safety issue. I need double-cylinder deadbolts installed on the front and back doors. If you can get there in 10 minutes, I will pay you triple your emergency rate in cash." The locksmith didn't hesitate. "I'm on my way, ma'am." Next, I dialed 911. 911, what is your emergency? "Yes," I said smoothly. "I am watching my home security cameras from work. There is an intruder in my house." An older woman. She used an unauthorized key to enter while my nanny was away. She is currently force-feeding my infant son an unknown substance that is causing him to choke, and she is destroying property. I need officers dispatched immediately. "Ma'am, do you know this woman?" "She is an estranged relative who does not have permission to be on the premises. She is trespassing, and my child is in immediate physical danger. Please hurry." I hung up, grabbed my purse, and sprinted to my car. I broke every speed limit getting back to my neighborhood. The trap is sprung. I pulled up to my house exactly 14 minutes later. The locksmith's van was already in the driveway. He was standing on the porch, drill in hand. I ran up to him, handing him a wad of $100 bills. "The woman is upstairs in the nursery," I whispered frantically. "She can't hear you. I need you to change this front door lock to a double-cylinder deadbolt right now. One that requires a key to open from the inside as well as the outside. Can you do it fast?" He looked at my face, saw the absolute manic desperation in my eyes, and nodded. "Give me 3 minutes." I ran around to the back of the house. I used my key to lock the back door from the outside, then jammed a heavy patio chair under the handle for good measure. I ran back to the front. The locksmith was lightning fast. He removed the old thumb-turn deadbolt and installed the new double-cylinder one. He handed me the shiny new keys. "Thank you," I breathed. "Please, leave now. The police are on their way." He packed his bags and peeled out of the driveway just as 2 police cruisers rounded the corner, lights flashing silently. I met the officers on the lawn. There were 3 of them. "Ma'am, are you the homeowner?" the lead officer asked, his hand resting on his duty belt. "Yes," I said, showing my ID. "My son is inside. The intruder is upstairs. I have the new key right here. The door is locked." I unlocked the front door and pushed it open. I stepped back, letting the officers enter first. "Police, announce yourself," the lead officer bellowed, his voice shaking the walls of my hallway. There was a loud crash from the kitchen. Brenda had obviously been in the middle of trashing the rest of my breast milk. Footsteps pounded toward the hallway. Brenda appeared around the corner, holding a pair of kitchen scissors in one hand and a frozen bag of my breast milk in the other. When she saw 3 armed police officers standing in her son's entryway, all the color drained from her face. "Drop the scissors, drop them now," the officer commanded, drawing his taser. Brenda shrieked and dropped the scissors. They clattered against the hardwood floor. "What is the meaning of this?" she screeched, her voice pitching up into a hysterical dog whistle range. "I am the grandmother. This is my son's house." "Who called the police?" I stepped out from behind the officers. I looked her dead in the eye. "I did, Brenda." She gasped, clutching her pearls, literally clutching her pearls. "Clara, tell these officers to leave. I came over to help. Your lazy nanny abandoned my grandson, and I stepped in." "Officers?" I said, completely ignoring her. "This woman used a key she was not authorized to have to enter my home. She chased my employee away. I have her on camera force-feeding my 3-month-old solid food, which is a severe choking hazard, and she has maliciously destroyed hundreds of dollars worth of my pumped breast milk. I want her removed, and I want to press charges for trespassing and child endangerment." Brenda's jaw unhinged. "You ungrateful little bitch, I am feeding my grandson real food. I am saving him from your incompetence?" She lunged toward me. She didn't make it 2 steps. The officers grabbed her arms, spinning her around and slamming her gently but firmly against the wall. The sound of metal handcuffs clicking into place was the most beautiful symphony I had ever heard in my entire life. "Brenda," I said softly, stepping closer to her as she struggled and spat against the wall. "I changed the locks while you were upstairs. Even if you had tried to run, you were trapped in here like the rat you are. You will never, ever see my son again." I didn't stay to watch them march her out to the cruiser. I ran upstairs, taking the steps 2 at a time. I burst into the nursery. Leo was in his crib, crying, his face smeared with that disgusting brown paste. I scooped him up, sobbing, using a wet wipe to clean out his mouth. He hadn't swallowed much of it, mostly just spitting it out, thank God. I held him to my chest, inhaling his sweet scent, letting the adrenaline crash over me in a wave of exhaustion. The husband's reaction and the aftermath. Mark arrived home 30 minutes later. The police had called him from the station. He burst through the front door, his face pale and panicked. "Clara, where are you? Where's Leo?" "The cops called. They said my mom was arrested." I was sitting on the living room sofa, rocking Leo. I didn't say a word. I just slid my phone across the coffee table. "Press play," I said softly. Mark picked up the phone. I watched his face as he watched the footage. I saw his initial confusion turn to shock when he saw his mother in our home. I saw his eyes widen when she pulled out the Tupperware. And then, I watched my husband's heart break and his anger ignite as he watched his own mother shove thick, choking sludge into his tiny son's mouth while badmouthing his wife. Mark dropped the phone. He put his hands over his face and wept. He wept for his son, he wept for me, and he wept for the mother he had just lost. Because in that moment, he knew, there was no coming back from this. There were no excuses, no apologies that could fix it. "I'm so sorry," Mark choked out, falling to his knees beside the sofa and wrapping his arms around my waist, burying his face in my lap. "I'm so sorry I didn't set harder boundaries. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you both." "She's done, Mark," I whispered, stroking his hair. "If you want to maintain a relationship with her, you will have to do it outside of this house. She is never allowed near me or Leo again, and I am pressing charges for the trespassing and the property damage." Mark looked up at me, his eyes hard and resolute. "She is dead to me. Press the charges. Do whatever you have to do." And I did. Brenda spent the night in a holding cell. We pressed formal charges for trespassing and destruction of property. Her lawyer managed to get the child endangerment charges dropped to a lesser misdemeanor, but the damage was done. Mark sent her one final text message. "You endangered my son and terrorized my wife. Lose my number. If you come near my property, I will have you arrested again." It has been 6 months since that day. We upgraded our entire home security system. Emily is still our nanny, and we gave her a massive raise for dealing with the trauma of Brenda's harassment. Leo is a happy, healthy 9-month-old who is now actually eating solid food, safely, and on our terms. Brenda tries to send letters sometimes. They go straight into the paper shredder. She tried to play the victim on Facebook, telling her church friends that her cruel daughter-in-law was keeping her grandson away from her. So, I did what any petty, vindictive millennial mother would do. I took the security footage of her shoving paste into my gagging newborn's mouth, and her subsequently digging through my garbage to destroy my breast milk, and I posted it in the comments of her Facebook status. She deleted her account the next day. I guess modern parenting isn't so bad after all, especially when it comes with 1080p high-definition receipts.